There we are. Well, mine says we're live. There we are. Hey, y'all. This is Arminthia. We're going to have episode 2 of Gun Gals today. We've got a guest speaker with us today. We've got Deb. Want to say hi? Oh, my God. Hey. Oh. Oh, my gosh. I had all kinds of other stuff going on. We're good. It's all good. Technical difficulties. I don't know why she let me do it. It's all good. We're fine. I'm not Clover, in case y'all were wondering. Okay. Today we have Deb with us. We always have some kind of issue, I promise. But we get through it. It's what makes us us. And we'll go through the room and introduce everybody, and then we'll go through and I'll let y'all all speak. And then of course we have Jessie, also known as Gunpowder Beauty.
Hey everybody.
And then we have Frankie, also known as Sweet Pea. So we'll start with Gunpowder first.
Sorry.
I just called you off guard. Just say hi. Just say hi.
Hello, y'all. Thank y'all for joining us tonight. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Sunday.
All right. How about you, Frankie?
Hello. I hope everyone had a good weekend and have an exciting week planned.
Awesome. And now we have Deb. Deb, tell us a little bit about you and where you're from.
Well, hi, I'm Deb. I'm from New England, although I've been a little bit of all over the last few years. And I'm just basically here to talk about camping and with other ladies who are also into concealed carry. And basically, I just came here after a shout out on one of the groups that and here we are.
Good enough. Fair enough.
Time at doing anything like this, so just bear with me.
She is new, so y'all be gentle. Be gentle with us. Y'all know that we always have technical difficulties and stuff. So anyway, it's gonna be a good night, I promise. It is exactly. This is our summer series, part 2. We were going to talk about camping and different outings and such. I guess we can just kind of take that through the room. Kind of like, what is your experience with camping? We can start with Gunpowder.
Involving a tent, I don't have much experience except for when I was like real little. I'm a daddy's girl and I'm a little spoiled when it comes to camping. I like a travel trailer, air conditioning, water, showers, running toilets, that kind of stuff. I'm that kind of camping kind of girl. But that's what we do when we go to our farm in Deer Lease during hunting season is we go stay in a travel trailer, and I love it because it is comfortable. There's no TV, no telephone service. It's like a little mini vacation for me when I go, so I like it.
Very cool. What about you, Frankie? Do you have any experience camping?
See, that's where it gets really funny for me. To my knowledge, I've never been camping. The idea of like doing a legit tent camping kind of freaks me out because I don't like bugs. I don't like the idea of sleeping on the floor just because I have a bad back. But when I'm about 4 or 5 years old, I am told from family members that I was out camping in such a way. There's even a picture of me, which is the only reason why I believe them, of me in the strawberry field that they went to Minnesota for the camping trip, of me stuffing my face with strawberries, but I have no memory of it at all. And it's weird because I have memories before that age, so it's just very strange.
See, I can relate to that too because I vaguely remember sleeping in a tent once, but I was probably about 5 or 6, and it was a family reunion. So, the older I've gotten, we've had kids, and so I know we've taken our kids on fishing trips, but I mean that's been right down the road, and the kids slept in the back of the Jeep or whatever it was I had at the time. So that's as close as we've gotten to camping. But I've had several back injuries, and I personally don't do the whole sleeping, even on different surfaces. Even when we go to hotels and stuff, sometimes I don't sleep as well because my back and stuff doesn't allow for that. So, but what about you, Deb? I know. That was one of the cool things that when I had mentioned something in one of the chats that you kind of had a unique experience. So I'll let you kind of explain that.
Yeah, I really don't have much experience tent camping. I mean, I probably did it a few times as a kid, but I don't really remember it. I have camped in an RV, like a travel trailer type thing, and I really enjoyed that. And there was no cell service, there was no Wi-Fi, there was nothing like that. And at most, it was me and the radio, and that was just fantastic for what it was. But I don't think it's something I could do full time.
But you did have a unique situation where you did end up living in a travel trailer for a little while.
Yes, I went through a situation where my household, things just didn't work out. A lot of things didn't work out in that particular time. But I had me and the cat in a travel trailer, just camping for a season, and I really enjoyed that, and the cat really enjoyed that, and everything was just pretty much hunky dory. I mean, but like I said, again, it's not something I would want to do for the rest of my life, but for that particular season, it was probably the best thing I could have done. Oh, excuse me.
Well, so you and I had talked about this a little bit. Your house had sold, and you had gone through some stuff, and you ended up having some issues, and you ended up moving into a travel trailer. And I know for me, downsizing, going from living in a regular sized house to living in a travel trailer, even for a season, that even if it were a few months or something, would be traumatic. I almost feel like to me, trying to figure out what to keep, what to let go at sometimes. I think more so for my husband than for me. But how did you deal with that?
Well, a lot of what you just said just broke up, but I'll try and clear up some of the mystery. It was a very small house to begin with, so it's not as big it wasn't, excuse me, as big as a project as one might think. So basically I just took what I needed, put the rest in storage, and called it a day. And then as time went on, like I just started weeding things out. And like, what did I not need anymore? What was just kind of stuff? And basically what was going to fit into my new life. And there it was. I mean, that's basically all there was to it. Yeah, it was very educational. And you really, when you go through a process like that, you find out a lot of what you have and a lot of what you accumulate is just stuff. I mean, you find out what is absolutely essential and what you can walk away from, and what would eventually be worn out and need to be replaced anyway. And there is, if you're interested in like learning how to do the minimalist thing in a more permissive environment, I'll go that way. An excellent book is The KonMari Method, by Marie Kondo. And I believe the book is called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And it basically goes in and it teaches you how to go room by room and basically just clear the excess stuff. And I know for some people it's a very foreign concept, but at the same time, it's also very helpful.
I could see that. I mean, I could see that. What about you, Gunpowder?
Absolutely. I'm actually looking at stuff right now and I'm like, I could totally downsize a lot of this right here that I'm looking at. I love the idea of downsizing, and it can be scary for people at times. Um, but I think it's good to kind of declutter your life every now and then. And I am definitely one of those that accumulates a lot of stuff throughout the years. And so having this conversation, it's really helping me because I'm like, man, I do have a lot. Like we have a storage unit right now that's a 10 by 10. And I think my husband maybe has 3 boxes in it. The rest is my stuff and some of the kids' stuff, but the majority is probably mine. So I'm definitely soaking up some of the stuff from tonight. And this next week is going to be definitely one of those processes of let's get rid of unnecessary things.
That's pretty cool. How about you,
I would-
Frankie? Oh, it's okay. Go for it.
I would love to live in an RV because you could literally hook it onto any truck and travel the world with it. That park, go wherever you want to do. It's like your home on wheels. I love it.
Very.
Yeah, it is. And there is a learning curve in that little home on wheels. And you've got to learn how to deal with your own miniature septic system, otherwise known as the black tank. You've got to learn how to deal with like doing household repairs suddenly become a whole different territory in an RV. For example, the hot water heater is on, like, I want to say the front side of, there's like this little panel on the front side of the travel trailer. And you take that out and your water heater is maybe about, I want to say about yay high. Yeah, about yay high. And it's just this little itsy bitsy thing. It's not much bigger than a big coffee can. And you take this thing out, and it's hard to believe that this is your entire hot water heating system. And it's almost kind of amusing. And then there's things like roof leaks and your subfloor you've got to keep worrying about. And it becomes a completely different ballgame.
Wow. Yeah. What about you, Frankie?
I've done some decluttering this past summer, springish, but it's kind of funny because all the space that I made in the garage made room from a Fiat size vehicle to a Jeep, but I don't really do the whole decluttering stuff. growing up, I didn't have a lot of stuff, so I'm kind of doing the reverse thing of getting stuff now. I have a job where I can actually afford things that I not only need, but things that I want.
I can totally relate to that. So I totally get that. So it's kind of like when you have money, it's hard to, when you don't have money and you're so used to not having stuff, and now that you've got something, it's easy to go and get what you want. So I totally can relate and get that. So I get that. So
To get an RV though to go see mom, I mean that would be a nice thing. She is about around 12 hours away, so it make that traveling and stopping a little bit easier because it's a long drive and for the dog and such.
oh yeah, you could make Rob drive, and then you could relax and do whatever you wanted to. That'd be cool. So this was something that came across, or that my thought was, with downsizing and going to a smaller space and all. And I know that the appliance size and such is smaller. How did that affect you very much in a change? Like with your cooking and cleaning and stuff like that?
Okay, cooking, usually an RV stove or a camp stove is not very big. If you think of it, about half the size of a regular stove. And the oven is probably useless. I've never known anybody who can cook in an RV oven. But I find I had like pots and pans, your basic ordinary stainless steel for cooking inside. But most of the time I got pretty good at cooking outside. And tinfoil was my best friend because I could light a fire, set the grill down, and or I could cook on the gas grill. I could wrap a couple of whatever I was eating for dinner up in some tinfoil. I could set up a whole meal because there was only one of me. And I set this little pile of whatever I was making and up in tinfoil and herbs and vegetables and meat and what have you, and kind of roll up the tinfoil and either put it on the grill or put it on the grates on top of the fire and let it cook that way. And then cleanup was super simple because all I had to do was, if I was using paper plates, toss them in the fire. If I was and then roll up the tinfoil and toss that in the trash. It's just the simplest thing in the world once you get the hang of it. The learning curve is not even all that steep, honestly. And not much different from grilling outside when you're in the mood to grill outside. On the inside of an RV is a snap. Basically what you do is you take a bottle of Windex, with a little squirt bottle, squirt down your kitchen floor, set down a couple of paper towels, take your foot, step on that paper towel and wipe down the kitchen floor. That's it. And wipe down your counters, wipe down your windows. And if you don't have carpet, then you can just do the Windex treatment all through the RV. Takes you about 2 minutes.
Wow. Okay. Clover, if you're out there listening, I like the idea of the RV because it sounds like you would cook all the time and I wouldn't have to, and cleanup would be a breeze. Just saying. Just saying. Okay. Sorry. Had to throw that out there. Had to throw that out there. So did you have a favorite meal that you did a go-to within all that? I mean,
did I have what?
Did you have a favorite meal that you like to prepare? Or
oh yeah, every so often I would head to the market and I would pick up maybe I want to say about a quarter pound worth of shrimp. And remember, there's only one of me. That's all I needed. Put that in some tin foil with some butter and lemon and half an ear of corn, and plunk the whole shebang on top of the gas grill and let it sit and cook. And I want to say not very long later, I would have like lemon, butter, herb, shrimp, and corn on the cob with very little cleanup.
Yeah, I could totally do that. Yeah, I could do that. I could totally do that. We had talked, and you said there was something that happened that kind of encouraged you to help get your concealed carry.
Yes. Way back in the day, when I had a different piece of property, I had a neighbor who was not very nice. I'll put it this way: if he came knocking looking for allegedly a cup of sugar, it wasn't really for a cup of sugar, if you catch my drift. And when I started waking up and seeing footprints in the snow that were absolutely mohonchous around the perimeter of the windows, I said, "Self, the police are across town." And I had a little chat with myself and said, yeah, it might be a really good idea, because I was by myself and I was in a wooded area, and you never knew entirely what was coming out of the woods. And so I figured it would be better to be prepared and not need it than need it and not have it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Let's see, what else was there? Let's see. We were talking about, because it was a wooded area. We were talking about ticks. Who doesn't like to check your partner for ticks? Yeah, not I. Ugh. Can't stand it.
Yeah, that's not very much fun.
Yeah, it's not like the country song, I promise. But where you live, it really is a big deal. I mean, we have ticks here.
Yes, Lyme disease is an issue. There are other tick-borne diseases as well that are in various parts of the country, and I'm not as well versed in those, obviously. But the trick is to really get them off of you as quickly as possible. And to be really careful, especially if you're looking for things like deer ticks, because they can be really super duper tiny. Hold on a minute. I can actually give you a visual representation of just how tiny a deer tick can be. Yeah, I have pins here, so yeah. And basically, when you're looking at a deer tick, you're looking at something that could be smaller than the head of this pin. Let's see here. Find it on the camera. Yeah, if you're looking at something that's smaller than that, which is pretty dang small, you've really got to get good at the tick checks.
I'm sorry, y'all. Talking about that makes my head itch.
It does that to a lot of people. Sorry.
I don't do fleas and I don't do ticks or spiders. It's
There I am. Well, I mean, y'all have animals too, so I mean, we have a dog, but she's an inside dog, so I don't worry about. I mean, she gets them every great once in a while, but that's only if we let her outside. So, I mean, y'all have to watch fleas and ticks with your dogs and your pets, right?
Oh yes. That's pretty much a given, especially if you're out in more of a wooded area, then you definitely want to watch out more for ticks. Uh, sometimes sometimes you can see them, sometimes you can't. One of the best things I've found for uh, animals in particular, and they have flea and tick drops, which I'm sure everybody's familiar with by this time. And they're the little drops that go in the back of the neck. Those work fairly well for what they are. Um, things like flea and tick collars, I haven't had as good of luck with those, but other people's mileage may vary. Let's see. Um, there's daily flea combing if you're into that. I don't know very many people who are, but I understand that they're out there. Um, and they like it's one of those things where if you really want to do a thorough tick check, especially on a long-haired animal, the best thing you can do, especially if it's a larger long-haired animal, is get them to come up on your chest. When you tap your chest and you get them to come up, and you take a hair dryer and you just start parting the hair, just running like a cool setting on the hair dryer, and you just start looking. And that is a really big help for finding the ticks, preferably before they attach.
One of the best things that you can do for your dog, for we do for our dog, is we give her the pill that we get from the vet. And the nice thing that you give the pill to the dog if they have ticks, they start dying immediately. We've had Elsa now for 5 years. She has never had a tick. She has never had a flea, and we've taken her various places because we travel and we have to stop so that she can use the bathroom and stuff like that. That kind of grass you can't really control like you can your yard. She's never had an issue.
Good to know. Yeah, I've had a number of different breeds of animals over the years, and mm, I've come up with fleas a couple of times, unfortunately. But back then, they didn't have the treatments that they do now. And a few times I've taken ticks off of a dog, but again, they didn't have back then what they have now. I mean, now I don't have nearly the kind of issue that I did back in the day.
I'm all kinds of backwards today, y'all. Sorry. I'm either muted or I'm not. And anyway, well, that's good to know. Typically, if our dog gets something, my husband is really good to take care of it. So, yay.
I was a really lazy pet owner. I would use like Canine Advantix Plus or something like that. And I would always make it the next treatment that she would have. I would mark it on the package. Okay, this is the month, the day it needs to go back on. And we took my little Min Pin Chihuahua to the farm with us, and she wouldn't really get fleas or ticks or anything like that with that on. But now they have some really neat stuff out. It's like a little hook for ticks that you just put around it, and then you push in and spin it, and it pops the tick right out. I've seen a couple of those on Facebook, and I think some on Instagram or something. Like, there's way cooler stuff out there now than when we first started going to the Deerleys. We'd have to use the backside of tweezers, just regular tweezers, because I know that they had like the little hooked ones. But or even the bobby pins. I've used those a time or two, but once I found Canine Advantix Plus for my dog, I never had any issues. She could go out in the deep woods and wouldn't come back with ticks or fleas. That was wonderful. Oh, the puppy.
Yeah, I've had really good luck. I'm sorry.
Oh,
You're
oh,
cutting out.
sorry. I got distracted.
Okay, I'm going to try this again. And I've had, if we're talking product, I've had good luck with Advantage Multi. I've had good luck with Prevent Tick Collars. And I've always used needle nose tweezers or hemostats to remove ticks. And I know it's not nearly as cool as the new stuff that they have now, like the tick keys and all that other happy stuff. And I've been doing this for a long time.
I am a big fan of working with what you got. It doesn't always have to be new stuff.
Yeah, the first time I saw a tick key, I was sitting in a pet supply wholesaler, and I took one look and I thought, what in the world is this thing? It looked like a cross between a spork with a hole in it that had hinges. And
Yes.
what in the world are you supposed to do with this thing? Like, oh, isn't that cool? Yeah, they actually like took one out of the package and demonstrated for me because I could not figure this thing out. Like at the time, I'm sitting there with my hemostats and my needle nose tweezers and just looking at this little plastic thing, like, okay. But I understand that some people prefer them. And they even have one that looks vaguely like a guitar pick now. And
Yes.
it works about the same way as the little spork with a hole in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just one of those things where, build a better mousetrap issues.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say that I'm lucky because I think I've pulled two ticks. I've pulled one off of one of my kids and one off of one of my husband once. So, and I think both times I took pictures and sent them to my sister saying, "Hey, look, what do I do now?" So, but anyway, let's see. Do y'all have any other questions or anything for her at the moment?
I can't really think of anything worth a second.
Well, with I guess with living in, and it's not, I guess, much different, but living in a wooded area, and I guess being a little more disconnected in a sense. Have you made a point to make sure that you have like CPR or something like that? I mean, you make sure that you have other safety measures should something happen. Was a thought that I had. Did that make sense?
I'm sorry you cut out on me again. Do I have CPR and first aid?
Yes.
Oh, being out in the woods, yes. Yes, I've had CPR and first aid certifications. I don't at the moment. I probably should, but I don't. But a lot of things that you're going to see are probably not things that they're either going to be on two sides of the spectrum. The one side being very minor, and the other side being just get fire and rescue out here because I am not dealing with this. You've got to know your own limits, even if you are certified.
Okay, my next question then. When a few years back here, we went to 911 addresses. Is that something that y'all had to do where you live?
For a long time, I'm from a very small state, and it's my understanding that 911 was being phased in. They took their sweet time. But yes, we do have 911. I do not know how well it works out in the backcountry because I've never had to call them. I have been very fortunate in that regard. Um, I do know that they have different teams for uh, various rescues for out in the backcountry. I'm not entirely familiar with them. Again, I've never had to call them. Um, and I think a lot of what my philosophy has always been is that if you're going to be out there, use common sense and dress for it. Know what you're doing. Expect a little bit of the unexpected. And granted, freak happenings can happen to anybody, but uh, again, if you just use common sense, you should be more or less okay. And I think that's true of just about anywhere, not just where I'm from.
That is that is true. I mean, common sense does go a long way. I mean, unfortunately, I know a lot of people that do not have common sense. So
I think everybody can name
Yeah.
at least 3 people who don't use common sense. It really should be something that comes back in style. It'd be greatly appreciated in all society if people would just use a little bit more common sense when dealing on a day-to-day basis. It'd save a lot of headaches, that's for sure.
well, when I ask about like the 911 addresses, I ask because living in the country, GPSs are not always accurate. I have found.
Oh, this is true too. And I once had a GPS that was hysterically inaccurate.
I've had a GPS try
Let's
to take me off the side of a highway, so I totally get it.
You do?
It's terrible in the city and in the country. It'll tell you to take a road when there's wooded area and no road, or it'll tell you to go off the side of a highway when there's a rail because that's where it thinks you need to go. GPS is not as reliable as people think.
I have a question.
I think it's getting better, but it still has its moments.
Yes.
I have a question. With you living in the woods and you being, more into guns now, do you do more food storage and water storage and such, kind of like a prepper?
These days I'm not camping. However, I do find that I keep a basic pantry. Um, I was taught to cook at a very young age and cook from scratch, I should say. And so I've always had the ability to put a meal together fairly quickly from scratch. And I just keep the basics tucked into the freezer because that's really the best place for them most of the time. And I have the basics of flour, sugar, meat, baking soda, baking powder, spices, um, basically all your basic dry goods and all your frozen stuff. And water I haven't stored so much of. I'd probably get more into that if I had more of a put it.
I know I don't live in the woods, but because we live we live 12 to 15 miles from town. We keep basic things. Even, you don't think about it, but even powdered milk is something I keep, because I can, if a recipe calls for milk, I can take my powdered milk and make milk to use for my recipe, because I'm not driving to town to get a gallon of milk to finish what I was going to make just because I forgot I didn't have milk.
That's a good idea.
I mean, also, I know with it just being Chris and I now, I dry can a lot of stuff because I can put it into smaller containers and stuff. So I do a lot of stuff in mason jars. It's also real handy with the grandbabies and stuff. You know, they walk in there and they know exactly where it's at, and you know, it's enough for a bowl of cereal or whatever, you know, and I'm not wasting, because I could buy a box of cereal, and if we don't eat it, it's going to go to waste. We do the same thing with crackers and stuff. And to me, it's just wasted money. So it's smart to do that. Flour, sugar, even pinto beans. I have 5-gallon containers that are full of those things, and I just keep those in handy. But we live in the country, and I'm not driving to town every time I need that.
Right.
So.
Do you have MREs too?
Oh no, I mean,
We do, but I mean, yes, we do. We actually, Chris and I went through a whole prepper thing. So we have MREs. We actually have a water system. We have, what am I thinking? The cast iron, I can't even remember what it's called now, but it's the cook.
Dutch oven?
Yes. I have a Dutch oven. So
we do
yeah.
too. I love cast iron cookware. You can literally throw it on a fire and you're good.
Well, mine is still in the box. I've never opened it, but like I said, I mean, we went through that stage where, I mean, so I have all this stuff, but I mean, it's here should we need it. So that's.
yeah, a Dutch oven is one of the things I keep meaning to invest in, and I think the next time they go on sale, I just might grab one and keep it as a just in case. But for the life I have now, I mean, it's not a necessity. It's one of those things that would just be nice to have. If it became a prepper situation, you can bet your bottom I would be out there trying to source a Dutch oven ASAP. However, I do find that crock pots come in real handy. I have this nifty little thing. It's a 3-section crock pot, and you can make like 3 miniature or less than, or small family size portions of whatever you want to make. Like, for example, you can set like a chicken noodle thing in one section, and a beef thing in the next section, and a veggie thing in the next section. And it's just the handiest thing. And I love it and wouldn't part with it.
Well, I am all about some crock pots. I think I currently have 6 of them, and that's not including my Instapot. So, yes, I'm all about a crock pot. So,
I have a crock pot in storage. I will probably never get rid of that thing, because on the days that you don't feel like cooking, a crock pot is amazing. You can put all of your ingredients into that bowl and set it for low and cook it for 8 to 10 hours, however long you're going to be gone. And then by the time you get home, whatever meat you're cooking is so tender, it falls apart. It's full of flavor. I love throwing stuff into a crock pot.
One of the really cool things about cast iron too is if you know somebody that's anemic, that cast iron is actually really good for that. That is something that I learned through nursing school. They teach them to do that, and then of course you encourage them to do something, some oranges or vitamin C or something to help them hold on to that. So I mean, it's actually a natural thing. That's something that I was taught through nursing school. Whether it's
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
help with iron levels. One of the cool things when I got my Dutch oven, just cool thing, living in a small community, they actually teach prepper classes here. Like so many weekends a month. They do prepper classes, and they actually teach you how to barter with people. It's pretty cool.
That's
You're gonna do a YouTube video show or series on that? That might be an interesting idea for you.
I don't know, because I've not actually been to one of the classes in a little while. I mean, it's been a while since I've been to one, but I mean, it was actually a really cool thing when we went through. You know what I mean? You kind of go through these phases. You know, it's kind of like through clothes. I mean, you kind of go through this baggy jeans, or you go through the flare legs or whatever. I mean, it's kind of like that. I mean, we went through a prepper stage, and not that we don't still collect certain things, we're just not real heavy into it, and it's not like something that is right there on the front of our brain that we think about all the time right now. So it might be something I have to look at it though. That would be kind of cool. So
Just thinking like for gun girls or gals, excuse me.
Mhm.
Maybe possibly drag me and Jesse into it, and then some of the other girls on the page.
I will write that down for future. We will discuss it. That is, we could talk.
Yeah, because I'll say this, my husband's been looking at MREs more and more, so I kind of have the feeling that I'm going to get dragged in it anyways. So at least with me getting dragged into that, and with you gals, maybe it won't be so, I don't know, boring. It'd be fun.
Well, you're gonna laugh. When I actually got started doing all of it, my husband was kind of on board, and I wasn't as much. But I was doing the whole extreme couponing. Yes.
I love it.
Extreme couponing. And when I say extreme couponing, I mean extreme couponing. So when I say my pantry was full, the kids would come over and fill up grocery bags full of stuff. My parents came over and filled up stuff. My in-laws for Christmas, they got boxes. Basically, they got toiletries. I mean, I'm talking razors, deodorant, lip balm, shampoo, conditioner. I mean, you name it. I mean, necessity stuff. So, I mean, because I got it all for next to nothing. But it took a lot of time. When I say a lot of time, it's not something that just takes a couple of hours. I mean, it took hours and hours. I mean, I would get off work and go do it, come home, unload, start up for the next day, go to bed, go to work, and do it again. So when I say extreme, I mean extreme.
We're going to have to talk on outside chat.
No, it's not something I'm ready to get back into anytime soon. So it's.
Oh no, I just want to pick your brain. That's all I want to do.
It was awesome, and because of my OCD personality, it's too much. I go from one extreme to the other really quickly, and so it's too much for me. And so I have to cut myself off at some point. So yeah. Anyway,
Totally get that.
yeah, you've met me, right?
Absolutely.
All right, we are winding down. We're in like the last 8 minutes. So,
Oh my gosh, this chat has flown by.
I know. So, is there anything else you ladies want to discuss in our last few minutes?
Anyone that is going to the woods, going hiking, anything like that, make sure that you are prepared for whatever adventure you are going to do. Make sure that you have a first aid kit, a snake bite kit, because snakes are pretty much in every state. It can happen. Plenty of water, because if you get hurt or something, you will need to stay hydrated. If it's hot outside, you're going to need to stay hydrated. I think that's pretty much it. Make sure that you have whatever necessities you need for whatever adventure you're going on. Make sure that you stay safe.
Oh,
It is hot.
absolutely.
It's
If you're
super
ever-
hot here, so I have to make sure I stay hydrated. And I'm in the city. I'm not going on any adventures here anytime soon until it cools down a bit.
If you ever go on a hike, make sure you research the trail and don't end up going on a hike and miss the sign that says that it's 4 hours long, like I did with Abrams Falls this past vacation trip. So just be very careful. Make sure you know what trails you're going on and prepared for that. Again, reinforcing what Jesse said with water and whatnot. True story.
My goodness. Oh,
Honestly, I think it took me 5 hours because I was really hurting towards the end of all that.
people, CloverTack said, make sure you pack toilet paper for whatever adventure you're going on. Toilet paper, people. We need to talk toilet paper.
You don't need toilet paper. You got the leaves.
No.
And just
no.
make sure they're not poison ivy.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I'm not going to use leaves. It'd be my luck. Whatever part I used would now be itchy because I used the wrong leaf. So I'm packing toilet paper. I'm just saying.
I am hardly allergic to poison ivy. That would not be fun. I'm just saying. Not be fun at all. So
No itching and swelling for these girls over here. No itching and swelling for these girls.
No. So
Cleaning supplies, sanitizing supplies, plain Clorox.
ooh,
I've never thought about that, but that might be something to think about. 9mm said, do you know how many raw butts I've seen in the ER due to using the wrong kind of leaves? I believe it. I believe it. I don't use leaves because I don't want to be another case in the ER.
that would not be fun.
Really wouldn't. That would take a literal sense of people being butthurt.
All right. So, before we run through the room for our last little thoughts and stuff, I want to remind you guys that Next week on Gun Gals, we'll do our third summer series. We're going to talk road trips and vacations, especially things like concealed carry out of state, keeping your kids occupied on long trips, planning for potty breaks, ways to save money. So that should be really interesting. So we want y'all to make sure that you plan to join us.
Absolutely.
And in case y'all didn't know, we were live on and streaming on gun channels tonight. We did get that all set up, and our page is really cute. It is purple. If y'all haven't checked that out, it's so cool. So if you get a chance, get over there. So we'll take this opportunity and we'll run it through the room. We do want to make sure that we thank each and every one of you in the chat for coming over and supporting us. We know that this is new, and we're trying some new and different things that y'all may not be completely used to, but we want to be different. So we are definitely stepping out of comfort zones, I know. So trying to keep it real.
Different.
Yes.
Definitely different.
So Gunpowder, you want to start us off?
Everybody, don't forget, if you have any questions that you would like any of your gun gals to answer, please feel free to email us at info@gun-gals.com. We look forward to seeing a lot of y'all's questions. Remember, keep it PG. And if you'd like any topics to be discussed, feel free to email those to us as well. And for any ladies out there watching the chat or watching us on replay, don't forget that we do have a Facebook group. It is Gun Gals. So make sure that you go over there and check us out. We are always looking to encourage more women joining the 2A community. I think that's it.
Do you mind shopping the info link in the chat for us?
Yes.
The info email, I mean.
Yes. Let me.
Gun Gals is also on Patreon, and we have not figured all of that out yet, but we will be setting that up because we do not have our moderator stuff yet done, but we will be talking through that and figuring all of that out. So just stay tuned and we will keep y'all informed on that, okay? So, Frankie, take it away.
I want to give a big shout out to our 61 subscribers. Thank you so much. Looking forward to having more subscribers on our channel. And also kind of bouncing off of Jesse. Be sure to send us, questions for our Get to Know Gun Gals series. And go ahead and email us. We're looking very excited to be making another video on that here shortly. So be sure to be looking out for our new videos. It should be dropping in next week and a week and a half.
Very good. How about you, Deb? You want to throw anything out there for our subscribers? Maybe not. We definitely want to tell you thank you.
Yes,
thank
you for joining us tonight. It was absolutely wonderful.
We definitely appreciate your insight and you talking with us and visiting with us tonight. We love picking your brain and hearing about your experiences. So, did you want to say anything?
I keep getting sound cutting in and out, so I have no idea what the heck is going on. I'm sorry.
I was asking, did you want to say anything to our subscribers before we let go?
Other than thank you for having me. It was a pleasure, and thank you for being my first go around at this. And I hope everyone has a great night and a great week.
All right. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you. Make sure that if you're not subscribed to us on Gun Gals, make sure that you catch the link in the chat or on our page and subscribe. Again, we're on gun channels. Please follow us over there. Like I said, Clover and G have really made sure that we are over there, and I believe G has made sure that it's really pretty in purple. It's really beautiful. It's really awesome. And they have really gone all out to make sure that we feel welcome over there, and I really do appreciate that. We really appreciate
it.
Absolutely. We really appreciate each one of you out there in the chat, just, you know, being out there and supporting us. Again, if you have any suggestions or comments, make sure you send us an email. The link was dropped out there, info@gun-gals.com. And with that, we will see you guys next weekend at the same time and same place. All right. Good night.
Good night, everybody.